Hi guys, this is your week 5 overview video, just kind of walking you through what I want you to do this week and talk about a couple things. So I'm going to try to make this video short, although you know I'm not good at that. Alright, I'm already in the weekly assignment section, so I'm going to scroll down to week 5. As I'm doing this, I just want to talk to, I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but I want to talk to you guys. If you notice that you didn't turn in your annotated bibliography and your research proposal, so both of those assignments weren't turned in, that is kind of setting a precedence. Probably tells me that you're not going to turn in your final paper. If that applies to anyone, I would encourage you to think about whether you want to keep going in this class or whether you want to just throw in the towel this semester and try again next semester. So that means withdrawing. Usually I see students, like a couple of things happen. I'll see students get a couple zeros and email me and, say, can I have some extensions, or what can I do to bring my grade up? I'm failing. I'm not doing very well. I'm ready to try again, but can you work with me? And I usually like to try and work with you if possible. It kind of depends on where in the semester I get an email like that, how many zeros the student has or something like that. But I do, some of you do know I will work with you. But after you do get quite a few big zeros, there's not a whole lot that I'm willing to do, because it just kind of says you're not prioritizing the class. And so it tells me that that's probably going to be the case, even if I do, give some extended deadlines or some leniency in certain places. So sometimes, students will just say they're going to do better, but then nothing, it's still an overwhelming situation. Whatever's going on in your life that's taking precedence over this class it's understandable completely. By no means do I judge you. But it's something that you might have to just try again in another semester. So sometimes that happens. Like, you think you're going to do better, but you don't end up doing better. Some people do. Some people can turn it around. And if you're one of those people, then please send me an email. And then, sometimes you'll do one thing, or you'll turn in a missing assignment, but then you can't catch up because there's just so much stuff missing. So if that does, if you do think that maybe it's best that you withdraw from the class, I'm looking at my planner here. I think that the last day to withdraw it's Monday, April 2nd. So you still have a couple weeks to kind of figure out where you're at. I'm looking at, so like I said, I'm preaching to the choir because I'm looking at some of the times when people are logging into the class, and some people haven't logged in since February. So I don't know if you're even watching this video if you're not logging into the class. But if this applies to you, if you're missing a lot of work, if you don't know what to do, you can always email me. We can talk about it. But if there's something else that's going on in your life that really is taking up a big chunk of your time, you might just want to try this again next semester. And there's no harm in that. I withdrew from a class in college, and I don't regret it. It was terrible. Okay, that's all I wanted to say about that. For those of you who are still looking for your research proposal grades, I'm working as fast as I can on those. Each assignment takes me about an hour to grade because I go through with like a fine-tooth comb and I nitpick all of your work, and then I make like a 20-minute video just talking about your assignment. Just because it's so long, it takes me longer to go through all the details of my comments and things like that. So please be on the lookout for those. I have 6 left. So if you don't have yours, you are one of the 6. I'll be emailing you a video, and you'll see your comments in Blackboard. I'm hoping, because they take so long and I can only really do grading when my son is sleeping, I'm hoping that I'll be able to get them done by Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. But if you're definitely by Friday. I mean, absolutely, without a doubt, by Friday. So just hang in there. I know it's taken me a little bit longer than I want it to get these grades to you guys, but hopefully I'll be finished with them very, very, very soon. So be on the lookout for that, and look at your grades in the section. All right, so what do you want to do this week? Well, here's kind of a rundown of everything. You're going to take a look at the final research paper guidelines. I'm going to show you a couple things here before I sign off. And then also in that folder, there's 4 sample essays. So there's an example, and then there's some graded essays in there if you want to take a look at those. I'm going to go through a little mini lesson on thesis statements, and there'll be some practice thesis statement activities for you to do in the learning module this week. We're also going to talk about incorporating quotations into your work in a way that avoids plagiarism. So then the reason we're talking about that is because your quiz this week is on avoiding plagiarism through making sure that you've got effective incorporations of quotes, using the right citations, things like that. So that is due this week by the 14th. That's Wednesday, of course, as usual. It's due by 11:59 p.m. You don't have anything due on Sunday of this week. I just want you to keep working on your final paper for this assignment. That's your MLA paper analyzing whether or not a profession is accurately portrayed in your movie or TV show of choice. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I know that at the beginning of the semester, I briefly went through the assignment with you guys just to kind of show you where you were headed. But now that we're at the last leg in this project, I want you to kind of know the details of the research paper here. So it is 200 points of your final grade. That's 20%. You'll turn it in on Blackboard just like you've been turning in everything else. Make sure that your word count, and this can include your works cited page. This is your whole document. Make sure that it's at least 2,500 words. That's roughly 7 to 10 pages. Well, 2,500, that's about 7 pages, and 3,800 words, that's about 10 pages. So somewhere in there, you want your range to be. Of course, I take points off for an assignment that is less than the minimum word count. But again, this can include your works cited page. So you know what you're arguing about. So far, of all the research proposals that I've read, everything has been on topic and good to go. Of course, if I read through yours, for those of you who haven't got your comments back, if I read through yours and it's not what I'm looking for, I promise that I will tell you all about that, and you'll have hopefully at least a week and a half to kind of make some changes, ask your questions, figure out what it is that you need to change. While you're writing your paper, make sure that you're using support sources to back up your claims. Make sure that you have, per the requirements, at least 6 sources. You know, your primary source is your movie or your TV show, and then you want to have 6 secondary sources. So that's a total of at least 7, primary plus 6. And of those 6 sources, your secondary sources, 1 must be a book and 1 must be a scholarly article. So we're kind of getting back to some of the requirements that were in your annotated bibliography. Some other requirements that I want to point out, because I never talked about these details with you guys when I went over the research paper guidelines the first time, just because I wanted to show you the topic of the paper but not actually talk about the specifics. So let's talk about those. Of course, I want it to be an MLA format. I am commenting on everyone's research proposal and providing notes where your MLA formatting needs to be improved or corrected. So please make sure that you watch your videos. They're going to your CFCC emails. Instead of being put on YouTube, I think it's just an easier way to give them to you. Please make sure that you have a works cited page. If you do not have a works cited page, I'm going to take off 20 points out of those 200 just automatically. Some teachers would just like fail the essay automatically. I think that that's a little harsh, but yeah, I'll take off a big chunk of points if you don't have a works cited page. We talked about a minimum word count. I'll take off points if you do not meet the word count. For every 100 points below that 2,500, you'll receive a 5-point deduction. Of course, you have to make sure that you're on topic. Again, if I notice any issues with your research proposal, I will tell you. So please be looking out for those comments. Make sure that you have at least your 7 sources. That's your primary source plus 6 secondary sources. -10 for any source that's missing. Also, a lot of people have done this in the past. I don't know if it's an accident or I don't know if it's to pretend like you have a really good word count, but you actually don't. Please do not copy and paste your annotated bibliography and make it your works cited page. An annotated bibliography is not a works cited page. The citations, if they are the same, copy and paste those, but not the paragraphs that you wrote for your annotated bib. Okay, that's not the same. People have done that in the past, and I just want to point it out. It's not what a works cited page is. So keep that in mind. Here is the rubric for this assignment. It's very detailed. Whenever I make your response videos for your paper, they'll probably be like 30 minutes long because it's just going to take me, I don't know, 10 minutes to go through the rubric with you. And but anyway, this is the rubric, and I have one similar in Blackboard, and I'll comment on it. Basically, I think that you should just use this as a checklist. So, you know, do you have your attention grabber? Do you have some background information? Do you have your thesis statement? Did you do all these things? Blah, 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 blah. I think that's how you can use this information. All right, so within this module, you know, there's sample papers here, so check those out. There's some practices on thesis statements for those of you who may be needing a little bit of help with your thesis statements, and then there's some more information about quoting and avoiding plagiarism in your Prentice Hall reference guide. And I have some practices for you here that come straight out of your textbook that I will then provide answers for down here. And all of that is to prep you for that quiz. So when you get to the quiz, I think it's multiple choice. Yeah, so 10 questions, multiple choice A or B. Because they're A or B, that means you really only have one attempt. And you'll have an hour to complete the quiz. So take the quiz when you're ready, once you really know how to cite and what citations are supposed to look like and things like that. If you need to review that information, I would encourage you to check out or have the chart in our reference guide, the citations chart open, or even, you know, go to the Purdue OWL here and go to the section on in-text citations, because they're somewhere in here. I don't know, here they are. This could help you as well. Okay, so what else do I want to tell you? I think that really covers everything that you're going to do this week. Again, there's nothing due on Sunday. You just have your quiz due on Wednesday. Please email me throughout the week if you have questions as you're working on your papers. I'm happy to look at a draft very briefly, and I will probably just email you back a comment or two if you want me to look at your draft. I prefer emails. If you do want me to look at your draft, I prefer emails that say something like, can you read paragraph 3 and 4 and tell me if they flow logically? Or can you read my thesis statement and tell me if it is making a claim? Basically, emails that ask me a specific question where I can just jump right in, go straight to what you have a question about. I don't mind emails that say, will you preview my draft and let me know what you think? But I am just going to give you big comments. Like, I'll skim through it pretty quickly within like just a couple minutes and let you know, is it off topic? Does it need to be reorganized? Is something confusing? I probably won't nitpick through it like I do when I'm grading, just because I don't have time to do that. So please email me if you have any questions this week, you guys. I hope you had a really good spring break. I hope you all stayed safe and you didn't get into any trouble. I know it's hard sometimes. Let's see, what else? Well, we're almost to the end of this unit, so that's a good thing. It feels like we should be further in class, but we're not. So here we are. All right, guys, have a good week, and let me know if you need me.